Podcast. To ask is what am I doing right nowadays? So a typical day of mine, I spend maybe 20-30% time looking after AFM's work, and rest is all planned income. So I'm meeting around 4 to 5 clients a day. Particularly and these are across India and outside India. Right? I do a lot of drafting work on the trust also, but primarily it's client. Right? So as a major now, new courses so I am the content development and other things I'm working on. We told you about master project manager. I was closely involved in developing that course. तो being a admission आपको हमेशा प्रोडक्ट क्रिएट करना, कंटेंट क्रिएट करना अच्छा लगता है, वही करते हैं। और बाकी जो बचा हुआ टाइम है वो कोई किताब पढ़ने में जाता है। And because he's so disciplined, when I was told that I have to take some chit chat, मैंने लिख के रखा है, that because I don't ask any question. So because my next question is like, क्या दिख रहा है? What are you forcing in the industry? How is the distribution fraternity, Oh, I think my views are generally not, they are on the extreme side. So I am seeing that in some years, mutual fund would become the fixed deposits of this country. Right? Nobody would pay you for choosing a mutual fund. Right? और जो लोग कहते हैं ना कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता इंडिया में, उनसे बार-बार पूछता हूँ पीपीएफ अकाउंट खोले थे ना, गवर्नमेंट कमीशन देती थी, एक रात को न्यूज आई बंद हो गया। जिस दिन इंडस्ट्री को लास्ट माइल का कोई सॉल्यूशन मिल गया, जो टेक्नोलॉजी से धीरे-धीरे मिल रहा है, राइट, दिस बिजनेस इज एट रिस्क। तो अभी टाइम है ग्रो टू न्यू प्रोडक्ट्स एंड न्यू, राइट। और मैं इसमें ना हमेशा एक कहानी सुनाता हूँ, क्योंकि मैं आपको भी सुनाता हूँ, और मेरे जितने मैंने सेशन सुना होगा मैंने कहानी सुनी हुई। तो इंडिया में कहानी कैसे शुरू होती है? एक बार एक राजा, तो वहीं से शुरू करते हैं। एक बार एक राजा था और उसके राज में दो चोर, और ये दोनों चोर जगह जगह चोरी करते। तो एक दिन राजा बहुत परेशान हो गया, कहता है जो इन दोनों चोरों को पकड़ के लाएगा मैं उसको 100 सोने की मोहर गोल्ड कॉइंस दूंगा इनाम में। एक महीने के अंदर एक आदमी दोनों चोरों को पकड़ के ले आता है, पर राजा इस आदमी से बहुत खुश होता है, इसको 100 सोने की मोहर दे और इसको भेज देता है। अब इन दोनों चोरों को जेल में डालते हैं। अगले दिन सुबह ये दोनों चोर राजा के कोर्ट में पेश करते हैं, दरबार में। राजा को देख के बहुत गुस्सा होता है, कहते हैं कल सुबह सूरज उगते ही इन दोनों को फांसी पे लटका दो। अब इन दोनों चोर में से एक समझदार होता है, बच जाता है। राजा से कहते हैं अगर तुम मुझे 3 महीने का टाइम दो तो मैं तुम्हारे घोड़े को, हॉर्स को उड़ना सिखा दूंगा। तो सोचता हूँ दुनिया का पहला राजा होगा जिसका घोड़ा भी उड़ता है, मैंने नुकसान क्या है? कहता है 3 महीने का टाइम दिया और इसको भेज देता है वापस, दोनों चोर। अभी दोनों चोर फिर से अकेले हो गए। अब जो दोनों चोर अकेले हो गए तो दूसरा चोर है जो अब तक चुप बैठा था, पहले से कहता तू पागल है क्या, घोड़े भी कभी उड़ते हैं। अब पहले का आंसर सुनेगा, उसी में सब कुछ है। पहला चोर कहता है मैंने अपने आप को 4 चांसेस दिए 3 महीने में जिंदा रहने के, और 4 चांस क्या है? हो सकता है इन 3 महीने में राजा ही मर जाए, बच जाएंगे। दूसरा चांस क्या है? हो सकता है मैं ही मर जाऊं नेचुरली, कोई नुकसान नहीं है। तीसरा चांस क्या है? हो सकता है घोड़ा ही मर जाए। और एक आखिरी ऑप्शन भी है, हो सकता है घोड़े को उड़ना ही आ जाए। नहीं नहीं नहीं, आप लोग अभी भी नहीं समझे। अरे भैया आप पिछले 15-20 साल से क्या कर रहे हो? घोड़े ही तो उड़ा रहे हो। किस किस का घोड़ा उड़ा दिया आपने? और जिसको एक बार घोड़ा उड़ाना आ जाए वो किसी ना किसी का उड़ा देगा, और म्यूचुअल फंड का नहीं उड़ेगा, किसी और का उड़ेगा। तो आपके पास एक बेसिक स्किल है, एक बेसिक स्किल है, यू कैन सेल, बट डाइवर्सिफाई योर पोर्टफोलियो, डोंट डिपेंड ऑन म्यूचुअल फंड। और दुनिया में सबसे बड़ी बीमारी है ट्रेड कमीशन, राइट? वो ट्रेड कमीशन आपको आदत ऐसी पड़ गई है, आप सोचते ही नहीं उसके बियॉन्ड। आप सोचते मेरी रिटायरमेंट तक ट्रेन चलेगी, मैं सबसे ज्यादा खुश हूं कि मेरा बिजनेस उसी पे चलता है, पर चलेगी या नहीं चलेगी इट्स नॉट वेरी श्योर। तो बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर फ्यूचर, और फ्यूचर में रिस्क ही रिस्क है, गारंटी कहीं नहीं है, राइट? तो माय व्यूज आर लिटिल एक्सट्रीम ऑन द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सर।
Because आपने बताया we started to say a lot of the time goes to meeting clients. So if I ask you, out of these clients who comes to, how much of that comes to a retail distributor, how much of that comes from an organized wealth management outfit, and or probably what is the source of it?
Street trading. So around 50% come from distributors, right? Another 25-30, right? Either gifted during your lifetime, or if you don't want it to be divided, I have a way to do it. अगर आप चाहते हो ना ये प्रॉपर्टी एंसेस्ट्रल है ये कभी डिवाइड ना हो, तो उसके लिए एक तरीका है, तरीका बड़ा आसान है। Have you heard of something called family deity trust? हम एक प्राइवेट फैमिली ट्रस्ट बनाएंगे जिसमें जो फैमिली डाइटी हर एक परिवार का कुल देवता कुल देवी कुछ होते, हम उनको बेनिफिशियरी बना देंगे इस ट्रस्ट, और बच्चों को ट्रस्टी बना देंगे। आर्टिफिशियल जुडिशियल पर्सन, यू अंडरस्टैंड? इफ यू गो टू तिरुपति जी, गॉड तिरुपति इज द ओनर, बट यू नो गॉड्स आर ऑफ 2 टाइप्स, पब्लिक गॉड एंड प्राइवेट गॉड। देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड प्राइवेट गॉड। In Tirupati ji, the god is public, but if I keep a Tirupati ji statue inside my house and make that statue the owner, it's a private god, right? So I'll put something like create a private deity trust, give all the property to the trust, and they will never fight, because if they fight, God gets angry.
Yeah, please give the mic. Sorry, will come back. Will come.
Sir, can I just wanted to ask one of my clients. She got her husband died in 2013. She got remarried in 2014. Okay. The husband's marriage income, she remarried, also got expired in 2020. Now, property of her first husband is found in 2022-23. Her 2 children are major on it. Can they claim that property? Her children.
Can she claim or not? First question. See, there is a law which says title to a property cannot remain vacant for even a fraction of a second. Moment her first husband died, all the property of the first 100 got divided in testament. So I assume first husband did not have any will, right? The first husband didn't have a mother alive at that time.
At that time, your mother was there.
So that means there will be 4 equal parts to the property. One goes to the first husband mother, and 1 part each share each to wife and 2 children.
Okay.
Whether that property was found or not, that's immaterial matter. So she is the owner. If this property was created after she remarried, then she would not have got it. But this property is a prior property, she had along with her children.
Along with her children. Yeah. And now, one more question. Her father-in-law was from the first husband is still allowed. Do she need to share it?
इंडिया में हिंदू फादर का काम एक ही होता है, देना। अगर आप हिंदू फादर हो तो आप लेने की बात सोचो ही मत।
Yeah, I think you have a question, that's it. I know there will be a lot of questions. Let's begin.
हेलो सर, आपने ये फैमिली ट्रस्ट के बारे में बताया, इसके एडवांटेजेस भी बताया कि नॉर्मल पर्सन है तो वो भी फैमिली ट्रस्ट बना सकता है, तो इसके कुछ डिसएडवांटेज या ऐसा कुछ भी होंगे कि वो हमें क्या कंसीडर करें?
तो डिसएडवांटेज पहला है कि एक बार आपने ट्रस्ट बनाकर उसको इररिवोकेबल कर दिया, अब चेंज नहीं हो सकता। राइट, अगर रेवोकेबल है तो चेंज होता रहेगा। जनरली रेवोकेबल का वो तो सेटलर अलाइव इसने बनाया, अगर आप रेवोकेबल मान सकते। इररिवोकेबल जैसे ही होगा, अब जो कुछ है वैसे ही चलेगी, यू कांट चेंज इट। राइट, तो उसमें मिटिगेटिंग क्लॉज जनरली नहीं होगा कि डेथ के बाद अगर मैं रिवोक करना अलाउ कर दूंगा, चेंज करना, तो बनाया क्यों? राइट, तो वो इट बिकम्स अ इनफ्लेक्सिबल डॉक्यूमेंट आफ्टर अ स्टेज ऑफ फैमिली हिस्ट्री। That's the first disadvantage. Second, some trusts, if they are not found properly, have tax disadvantage. अगर discretionary trust है, irrevocable, तो वो maximum marginal rate of taxation पे tax लिया, which is now 39%. Irrespective of the source of income, 39% as per the type of income. If it is interest, rent, or dividend income, 39%. But if it's capital gains, 12.5%. MMR is 12.5 है। तो टाइप ऑफ इनकम पे डिपेंड करता है, बट ये 3 इनकम है और किसी में से डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रस्ट बना रहे हो, देखना पड़ेगा 13% क्लाइंट को समझ में आता है नहीं। आपके टॉप क्लाइंट ऑलरेडी 39% में, तो उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, तो उससे नीचे वाला उसको फर्क पड़ेगा। तो वी हैव टू चेक वेदर इट वर्क्स और नॉट। तो देयर आर टू बेसिक डिसएडवांटेजेस, बट अदरवाइज ऑल आर एडवांटेजेस, ऑल आर एडवांटेज।
सेकेंडली सर, ऐसा प्रोडक्ट्स जो है तो इसका फ्यूचर या जैसे पीएमएस के कंपटीशन में या एएफ के कंपटीशन में, क्योंकि अभी लॉन्च होगा, अभी शुरू नहीं हुआ है, तो आप क्या उसका फ्यूचर देख रहे हैं? अगर हम फ्यूचर फंड के साथ कंपैरिजन करें,
हम कंपटीशन करते नहीं, हम पीएमएस एएफ म्यूचुअल फंड ट्रस्ट के अंदर ही खरीद लेते हैं। ये सब ट्रस्ट ओन कर सकता है। व्हाट्स द कंपटीशन? वन इज द स्ट्रक्चर, होल्डिंग स्ट्रक्चर, एक है होल्डिंग स्ट्रक्चर, एक है प्रोडक्ट। The product is held by a trust.
This was a separate vision. SIF as a category. और secondly, ये SIF जो है वो गिफ्ट सिटी के थ्रू NRIs या उसमें निवेश कर सकते हैं कि नहीं?
So the first question is, how is SIF positioned between mutual fund, PMS and AIF? So it is very clearly written on the regulations document that SIF is a product between mutual fund and PMS. So every product of GCP, whenever you see any product, whether it's mutual fund, PMS and AIF, if you see the entire product regulation, there is a very clear cut 3 different parts of the product. One is the product, one is the operations, and one is the tax. Whole the product. You see a mutual fund, whether it's a PMS or AIF. Now, where do they different? They different in all the 3 parameters. But SIF is a product where the product combination is mutual fund they compare. It's very much similar to mutual because mutual fund as a product can invest into equities and it can also invest into other assets. It can invest into derivatives also. It can also invest into real estate also. There are certain restrictions. On the operation, since you know that the product has now got product, operations and the taxation side. So on the operation side, it is more or less like a PMS. Now, why is it a PMS? When you invest 50 lakhs rupees in a PMS, you can distribute that 50 lakhs between any strategies within that portfolio. So, let's say, for example, if I am investing into a care PMS or a Bonanza PMS, and Bonanza has got 2 strategies inside, so you can advise the portfolio manager that please distribute 50 lakhs between 40 lakhs rupees in a small cap and 10 lakhs. In the same way, in an SIF, at the PAN level and at the AMC level, You can have 10 lakhs and you can distribute 10 lakhs between as many strategies. But SEBI came out with a declaration that no product will be similar. Just in mutual fund, if you have seen, the products are similar, large cap, blue chip, large cap value, but these are similar. So in SI, they have not allowed them because there are very clear-cut 3 product categories: equity, debt, and hybrid. And her product, there are certain subcategories. You cannot make any duplication of the product. So it is not a comparable product, and it is very much as another product which is in the basket. So SIF is an SIF, mutual fund is a mutual fund, PMS is a PMS, and please do not compare any product. It is a wrong practice that you will do to your investors. Because the moment you will say that PMS is bad than mutual fund, and if the client meets me, I can tell you I will convince the client in terms of investing into PMS. You will lose your credibility to that. उनको लगेगा you don't have any knowledge or you have some bias to it. As a doctor, as a financial advisor, as a distributor, you cannot have a biased opinion about any product. So do not compare between the product. Treat the products differently. Each has its own merit.
Or what about Gift City?
See, Gift City. So for that you need to understand how does the financial sector operate. So Gift City is another jurisdiction, like the way SEBI operates within the domestic jurisdiction. You have Gift City as a jurisdiction. Now, since this jurisdiction is an international jurisdiction, it has to follow certain international laws and bylaws, like whose level policies, free trade, free trade, convenience, favorable labor laws. There are a lot of conditions. Yesterday, if you heard, they have made cyber security as a first compliance. So every product which is available in the, because any financial sector can have 2 types of funds. One is an offshore fund and one is an onshore. Offshore fund which invest in India, offshore fund which invest in India. So if any of onshore fund which is investing inside India, they has to follow all the internal guidelines. So if you have attended our UCT curriculum, you would see that we have very clearly covered that even जैसे आज के दिन में if you see the SEBI regulations, you have mutual fund, PMS and AIF regulation. Similarly, on the GCT, you will have a fund management, retail fund management, non-retail, and authorized fund management. Well, एक ऐसा है वाला आ जाएगा, उसमें क्या है? So that's it. So GCT is not something. That's what we brought you here. GCT is not something which is a Disneyland where you have a different category of people. It's the same geography, but a different jurisdiction. So what you get to work and see in SEBI, the same product you will be able to see in. You have questions.
Sir, nowadays the migration from India to overseas are increasing. A parent is drafting the bill in his kid's name who is settled overseas, and after some of times he feel that now kids are not taking care. Do he apply reverse mortgage loan?
So what you are saying, you are basically asking there are wealth in various countries.
Say for example, kids is settled down at US. And
And
the
he
father made a bill in his son name that all benefit will pass on to his son. But later on, he feel that his kids will not taking care of him in future. So their property which he allocated to him can be reverse mortgage and apply for a loan.
Any will made is always revocable. Even if you write irrevocable on a will, it's still revocable. Will by nature is always revocable. You can always change it. Right? आपका एक बेटा आपको बहुत तंग कर रहा है कि मेरे फेवर में irrevocable will बना दो, उसी दिन बना दो, और अगले दिन चेंज कर दो. वो by nature ही document revocable है हमेशा. There cannot be something called irrevocable will नहीं बना इसका कोई भी. बन ही नहीं सकता, बाय नेचर ही इरेवोकेबल है वो।
Same thing is applicable for trust as well.
ट्रस्ट कैन बी रेवोकेबल और इरेवोकेबल। आप जैसे बनाओ, रेवोकेबल ट्रस्ट बनाओगे तो सेटलर के पास पावर है रिवोक करने का, इरेवोकेबल बना तो सेटलर के हाथ से गया।
प्रॉपर्टी पे लोन नहीं मिल जाएगा।
लोन तो मिलेगा, मॉर्गेज हो सकता है,
रिवर्स मॉर्गेज, रिवर्स मॉर्गेज में तो
कोई सा
प्रॉपर्टी
मॉर्गेज हो सकता है, मॉर्गेज हो सकता
मॉर्गेज
है।
में तो प्रॉपर्टी फिर बैंक के पास चली जाती है।
हर एक मॉर्गेज में प्रॉपर्टी बैंक के पास जाती है।
वहां पे रिवर्स
रिवर्स मॉर्गेज में आपको बैंक ईएमआई देता है, यही फर्क है, मॉर्गेज दोनों में ही होता है, यही फर्क है ना।
रिवर्स मॉर्गेज में मैं जहां तक समझता हूँ, मतलब पोस्ट 60 मतलब अप्लाई होता है और जब तक सर्वाइवल होता है तब तक बैंक पैसा देती है और उसके बाद
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं है। रिवर्स मॉर्गेज या मॉर्गेज में दोनों में आप प्रॉपर्टी बैंक के पास मॉर्गेज कराते हो। रिवर्स मॉर्गेज में बैंक आपको ईएमआई देना शुरू कर देता है एवरी ईयर, और वो भी फिक्स ड्यूरेशन के लिए, जब तक सर्वाइव करोगे तब तक नहीं मिलेगा, 20 इयर्स, राइट। उसके बाद अगर प्रॉपर्टी की वैल्यू बढ़ गई तो आपको ऑप्शन देता है दोबारा लोन ले लो और एक्स्ट्रा, नहीं बढ़ी तो कहता है यहाँ पे स्टॉप, पर आपको घर से नहीं निकालेगा, आपको घर रखने देगा, एक तो आप सर्वाइव करोगे, आपका आपकी वाइफ को अलाउ करेगा, उसके बाद बच्चों को ऑप्शन देगा, या तो लोन वापस करके प्रॉपर्टी ले लो, या हम प्रॉपर्टी सेल करके फाइनेंस करेंगे अपना लोन, बाकी अमाउंट दे देंगे। तो मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि आपका तीसरा बेटा है, जो आपका घर है वो हमेशा आपका तीसरा बेटा है, बाकी जो काम नहीं आएंगे जरूर काम आएगा, नहीं या
सर मेरे एक क्लाइंट है जो दोनों सन है, वेल सेटल्ड इन अब्रॉड है, और यहाँ उनका जो पेरेंट्स है बेसिकली थोड़ा सीख है, दे आर अभी उनके पास जो प्रॉपर्टी से एसेट्स है वो चाहते हैं मेरे दोनों बच्चे के नाम में विल बना दो, तो उसके बाद वो पैसा ले जाएंगे, बट देयर सन्स आर नॉट वेरी इंटरेस्टेड इन देयर पेरेंट्स एसेट। ठीक है, तुम्हारा होगा तो हम बांट के ले जाएंगे, बेच के ले जाएंगे, ऐसा बोल रहा है। इन दैट केस विल बनाना इज बेटर है कि उनको तो वो पैसा में ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट नहीं, तो रीजन क्या है, उनको ट्रस्ट बना के छोड़ दे ताकि वो एफडीज रहेगा।
ट्रस्ट बनाने में फायदा क्या है कि दे आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन दीस एसेट, ही कैन अपॉइंट अ ट्रस्टी हु टेक्स केयर ऑफ दिस एसेट, दैट्स द ओनली बेनिफिट, अदरवाइज इवन विल इज
बिकॉज विल बनाने के बाद उनको जहाँ एसेट्स है ना वो बेचना, वो बेच के निकल जाना चाहते हैं, और नहीं तो वो उतना अभी फिलहाल उनको इतना इंटरेस्ट नहीं उनका पेरेंट्स के एसेट्स में।
अगर वो बेचने से रोकना चाहते हैं तो ट्रस्ट बना दे,
ट्रस्ट बना देंगे तो इट विल कंटिन्यू टू रिमेन इन देयर।
अगर ट्रस्ट वैसे स्ट्रक्चर करा जाए कि अलाउड नहीं है इसे, वो बाय डिफॉल्ट नहीं होगा, ट्रस्ट में डीड टर्म्स में डालना पड़ेगा।
अरे दोनों किड्स का उनका बेनिफिट मिलते रहेगा, क्योंकि as long as they are earning very well, they continue their
yeah, they continue to get the running income or the corpus income.
So instead of we have to create a will or we have to create a trust for that.
Trust. If you want all of this, you need a trust.
Yes, he needs all of them, all of them to be created trust instead of creating a will.
Yeah, trust is better.
Trust is better.
Trust is better.
Okay,
Thank you. So, this is the last question. Yeah.
Sir, two questions. One being that एक कस्टमर ने अपनी लाइफ टाइम में एक रजिस्टर्ड बिल बनाया, उसको रिवोक किया, फिर सेकंड, थर्ड, फोर्थ बिल, फिफ्थ बिल बनाया और उसको भी आखिर में रिवोक करके सिक्स्थ फाइनल बिल बनाया, तो फिर एक बार रजिस्टर किया है तो उसको दूसरी बार लास्ट टाइम भी रजिस्टर करना ही पड़ेगा कि
लास्ट बिल इज वैलिड वेदर रजिस्टर्ड और अनरजिस्टर्ड, पर उसको ये बात जरूर प्रूव करनी पड़ेगी जब पहली रजिस्टर कराई थी तो लास्ट रजिस्टर क्यों नहीं कराई, क्योंकि कोर्ट को ये डर लगेगा whether that will is genuine or not, but because it is unregistered, it's not fake, that is very sure, it is still valid.
okay.
Right.
And this is one more thing, in gift city, like if a US citizen invests money, तो उसको BFIC taxation all products पे लगेगा or will it be on some products only?
So first of all, UCT product currently, there is something called DIPA, Bilateral Investment and Trade Promotion Secretary, which is basically the larger umbrella. Under that umbrella, you have got several other activities. This umbrella is signed by the Finance Minister, External Affairs Minister. So it's a country to country agreement which is taken by the external. Currently, India does not have a full, you can say a full flexibility or full access to the BIPA. So, gift city product does not have an SSC currently. Now, there is a exemption that if a particular fund was earlier stationed in any other IFCs and that fund enjoyed SEC registration, which was giving him PIFIC advantage, and if that fund is now transferred to gift city, then that K1 will continue. But now, only if that instrument which is registered in gift city. So there are two types. One is the fund is registered in gift city, and one is fund is domiciled in gift city. So when it is a fund which is registered in gift city, they don't get a tax advantage. But there is a fund which is based in Mauritius or which is based in Dubai or any other part of the IFC, which is registered to IFC. And that fund is bidding into gift city, which in turn is investing into market. Then the entire ecosystem gets a K1 number.
Okay, and so like, is there a PFIC exemption to retirement solutions?
Yeah,
And so, are there anything available in each city?
typically what happens is, so US is a very complicated country because they have seen equity and so-called the capitalism for the last 100 years, or maybe 200 years, because you have case of General Motors, Ford, which are 100 to 100 years old. Right? So in in US there is a very clear-cut definitions, directions, operations across the product. So they operate something called 401k, which is typically like our NPS, right? So, but again they are involved. So obviously, even NPS also in our country, NPS is a very flat product. So that's why there is no scope of such complexities or. But in US, if you talk to any 401 provider and you understand, you get to understand that they have a different types of product. And each of their product has a different taxation. So depending on which product is registered with which authority, even on the PFRD, because along with the retirement product, they comes under the different. I know a product in US which has compliant to all, and there are products where they are not interested because there are various types of laws. Just say you not only have a PFIC, there is also something called FATCA. What is FATCA and what is the difference between PFIC and FATCA? FATCA is related to fund. FATCA is related to investor, and PFIC is related to a fund. So it's very complicated because US is a very complicated structure. They've got 3 layers of taxation. So to answer your questions, there are cases where you have, we have US compliance. There are some taxation cases, but for that I think you should ask. We have an expert. Romit Barat is a very strong expert on US taxation. So that connect with them. But the basic structure is it's a multi-layered and multi-purpose structure.
Thank you, sir.
So, some questions from my side to me. Right. And the first one is, how does Romit Barat invest?
See, I tell you what, I invest when I have money and I redeem when I need money. And because anything others is irrelevant. Because let's say the market looks good, but you don't have money, can you invest? No. And let's say when there is a need of money and market is exciting, can you give that money? No. So I believe, and I've been following this. Let me tell you, I am currently completely. But because I invest when I need money and I redeem, I invest when I have money and I redeem when I need money.
Is there any method to this madness?
No, see, I think what, it has been 26 years into this industry. So, me and Saurabh had worked together in Calcutta for a long time. So I don't know how many of you I follow Saurabh Mati. Last time he came out with a fantastic tweet. He said there is nothing called small cap, large cap, and mid cap. It's only good cap and bad cap. Correct? And trust me, I follow this. There is nothing called mid cap, there is nothing called small cap, there is nothing called large cap. It's only good cap and bad cap. And the job of a good cap and bad cap is on you. And for that you need knowledge. That is where I spend my money. So that I know what is good and what is bad. And that what is basically the secret for every investment, I think, everywhere. If you read, Benjamin Graham, if you read Peter Lynch, everywhere, fundamental investing is all about buying good companies and bad companies. So there is not large cap, big cap, good cap and bad. And I try to find out. Even Howard Marks said, if you can keep the losers out of your portfolio, the winners will take it. There is a historical evidence. So I only look for good cap and bad.
So I consider you as king of alternate education, right? Now, how does Romit Barat invest in alternates?
In fact, I started my alternate journey, to be very honest. I tell you an interesting story. My wife is a doctor. The COVID was